And we are into game. Sam just about makes it back from his ill-timed break. He has himself a drink refill.
I was waiting for you to come back and then we talk physics for a minute.
Again, if this is the math question. If you have a 10-minute break and a silly streamer uses 8.5 minutes of that to talk shit and not sort his life out, how many minutes has he got left to get back for game 2 of the series?
The answer
is not that much, as we see a lot of bot lane bans coming through.
I have no chance to even respond to my defense.
No, you don't, because draft is coming through.
Honestly.
Draft is coming through, and potentially first pick of the Azir for UCal would be pretty big. We could also look for something bot lane-ish as well. But yeah, it was just the Azir easy lock-in for UCal.
And I think last game was another one of those games where UCal was pretty invisible, bluntly. There was one 5-man shockwave as he died one time under tier 2 that was really all there was to write home about, and even that was not a pretty sight. Going back to something he's obviously got a lot of experience on, had a lot of success on last year, might be what is required for TT to try and convert some of those good moments in early game into something a bit more in the mid game. BLG on the other side, looking to go back towards the Kalista that didn't work out as cleanly as they were hoping in the game 1.
They still used it well in the mid game, and you could show that the early few waves were definitely dominant again. Wouldn't be a surprise to lock in the Kalista Renata. They could also lock in something like the Xin Sao for Shun, take it away from Beidchuan, have something like that too. Cassante also a pretty valuable pick, which was banned away from Bin in the last lobby. So this potentially opens up Varus Renata on the other side to take away the Renata from the Kalista. That potentially could be bit of an answer for 1xN and Chocho.
I'm going to try and make that a reality. Of course, the response may well be something that's been very standard, which of course is the Varus that everyone's been using. It's been so strong across pretty much every region you care to mention. Varus right now, so flexible in terms of how you build him, so dominant in lane. There's just a lot that going for this champion, bluntly.
So the Varus we expected. We expected the Renata as well. Will that be locked in as a takeaway from the Kalista, or is this something more valuable? You could lock in again, something like the Xin Sao, and just say, hey, you're not having the Cassante and the Xin Sao as the two best frontline champions. No, I mean, Xin Sao again, kind of like temporary frontline, but still, same kind of thing. You could take that one away. Of course, it's a Beidchuan, kind of comfort pick too. That, though, is very different. Heimerdinger locked in. That'll be a support. That'll be there to be more dominant in laning phase, and it does do pretty well at poking out some picks. It doesn't do that well versus double range bot lanes, though. This is bold. It's different. This is hinging on the fact that Chocho and 1xN are more practiced with this, and hopefully they're going for something like the poke Varus as well, than Elk and On are on the other side. And this is one of the issues. Your turrets always die against ranged bot lanes. On locks in the Ezreal support. These turrets are never going to have value now. Fantastic lock-in by On to say, well, this pick's now been counted.
It's a bold lock-in, as you said, from Chocho, but the Ezreal lock negates a lot of it, and now we've got some, again, very volatile bot lanes, but one I think, at least on paper, should be pretty BLG favoured. Now I'm looking at what on earth TT can do to try and salvage what they've got. They could use some frontline because they're lacking that at the minute, and on the other side I feel like BLG feeling pretty content. You have to wonder whether a Jax gets banned out here after Shun's pretty disgusting game 1 on it, and they're going to get rid of the Udyr of BLG to try and remove some of the answers that Hoya might otherwise have looked in the top side as well. I think this might be a Gnar last ban.
I don't know if you want to lock in a Jax into such a hyper long range backline. You really do just love playing into the Xin Sao in the jungle. You can see that.
Fair point.
TT banning away Shun's brand. I think, yes, banning away damage carries from Shun is normally a good thing. The guy's very, very good on stuff like the Kindred as well. And, of course, we mentioned in Italy in the last draft as well. So jungler's going to have the champion pools stretch fairly wide in this draft.
Actually, because you've got double AD carry and a Cassante, there is a world where you do get to look at an AP jungler here. I can see partly that's why something like the brand, which is very strong right now anyway, by far the fastest clearing jungler on the patch. It is silly how fast he clears the jungle. But maybe something like the Lilia could be a consideration here for Shun as well, if that's left open.
Chocho has played one game of the Heimerdinger in this split already. He won it. It was a pretty dominant win, and considering that TT haven't had too many wins so far, they're 6 and 12 in individual games. You can understand that he feels confident on it and feels well onto that into the Kalista. I just don't think they were respecting what was going to happen with that Ezreal. So the bot lane situation for TT could potentially be quite dangerous. They need to find a way now to really punish this double range of the Kalista and the Ezreal. If they get control of lane, if they start getting pushed up, that's going to be a big problem for them. Shun going towards a pick which he has so much success on. He's one of the very best Vi's in the entirety of the LPL. He has had a tendency to dive a little too far, though, on this pick. And we'll see whether now he's diving into Varus ults and Heimerdinger turrets, whether that will be punished. And with now the Jack's out of the window, you know that it's much more safe to pick something like that Xin Zhao.
There's a couple other hobbers in there which were quite exciting, but I think Xin Zhao makes a lot of sense. Base one did manage to get a couple relatively hefty engages in. What has been left up, though, is the Zac, and that is a good matchup into the Cassante, and it will be locked. One of the problems that Shun was facing was a lack of dive buddies, and maybe Knight will back him up here with something to go with that, and the Akali will certainly be able to follow where the Vi leads.
Let's go, Knight's Akali. We saw Cream's Akali the other day. Didn't win, but it was a really fun pick, and now Knight, one of the real masters of the champion, going in alongside the Vi ultimate means makes it much easier to pin down one of those targets. And the problem is now you're looking at a backline for TT which has no real defense against the Akali. If you get into the backline and you get a little bit of poke down with something like the Ezreal, things go from bad to worse really, really quickly. So now we see these full drafts coming through. I think bot lane laning phase talks about how that is potentially going to go quite badly for TT as the Heimerdinger turrets are not really going to be a factor as it comes into mid-game. Backline access available for both these teams now. We have the Zac on one team, diving further backwards and trying to catch out someone like the Ezreal and the Kalista. Of course, they're fairly mobile. The Ezreal with even more safety now, to the point where maybe you could even E forward, look for aggressive trades and get pulled back out by that Kalista. But potentially also survive away on that Zac dive as well. TT, they struggled to make proactive game plays in that last game. Zac can very much help them along with that. But need to see that on the Rift. They had tools last game to potentially go forwards, especially after that bot lane play went so badly for BLG in their initial dive. TT have a lot to recover going onto the Rift into game 2. Another thing about Knight's Akali as well is also noted to be one of the very best in the entire world, of course, but we were saying yesterday that Cream was always talked by Dernby as the second best Akali in the entirety of the LPL. I feel like it was Knight who was actually the best at it, and you can see that already. Clearing out these turrets very early on. It's going to be support item, well, not even support item gold over to Chocho. It will be mana flow band stacks, but of course with the double Doran start from 1xN and Chocho, not going to be at least stacking up gold in that sense. Interestingly, gone for the fleet footwork on the Ezreal support, noticing that he is likely to be up against the double poke, and it's actually the Comet coming through for Varus. The logic for what you take on Varus in terms of runes is you take Halo Blades on poke Varus if you want to auto attack, because you just about outrange short range AD carries. You do that against stuff like Lucian sometimes, but if you're looking to just stand beyond auto attack range because you don't want to be stuck against something like a Kalista or the Ezreal, which kind of outrange you, use the poke to have a little bit more poke and a little bit more sting at long range.
Hello.
How's it going? Sam was just answering the door. How's it going?
It was good. It was Amazon.
Oh, wonderful. How did that go?
It was really good. It was a present from our mum.
Oh, that's really sweet.
She got us a garlic press.
We got.
Which in fact is just really sweet because we're both big cooks, and her garlic press broke.
That's hilarious. That's actually fantastic.
Bought us a garlic press, but the package was delivered right now.
So fancy, man.
I know.
Hey, what did you get through from Amazon? We got a garlic press.
The press comes out of the bot lane from BLG.
Cheese and wine,
Billy Gaming press them in.
Full court press, as they say over in the States.
Oh yes.
You couldn't. I was about to say you couldn't pay me to do a whole game of that. You actually could.
Probably could. Yeah, they absolutely
pops
could.
the ghost.
Bin, very low indeed. Hoya, flash for the auto, solo kill topside. As I come back, I bring the action.
Oh god, Bin put into the trash by the goop. Hoya gets a first blood in the top lane at level 2 to level 1, and Bin, I'm sorry, buddy, but this is not the level of form we expect from a player like him. He was arguably the best top lane player across the entirety of 2023, one of the very best carry players in the world. An incredible form across that. He has had a weak start to 2024, and I think it's time we start talking about that, because losing kills like that in laning phase is pretty unacceptable.
It's pretty rough to see. He teleports back in, might be able to get something here, but Hoya just sidesteps where the Q3 is going to be and gets to walk away. Now gets to reset with that first blood money in hand and feel pretty good about it.
Still, bot side not going fantastic for 1xn and Chocho. We saw this coming. So we did see an Ezreal support from Chocho on Anyone's Legend back in 2022. That's fantastic. I
really?
love that.
Bad.
Well, this is what the graphic at the bottom of the screen saying. It says that 2022 LPL, FPX versus Anyone's Legend. Chocho playing it.
Being shot down by his own tech. How rough to see, and it does feel like, as you said, these turrets are really struggling to hold on to their life bars.
I know that in LCK, the last time that they had seen an Ezreal support after Carrier, before Carrier played it, was actually on SKT back in OGN, back before the days of the LCK. And that was Pumandu who used to play that.
Chocho! Oh no. He just dies, and now actually on the other side, Shun is in a trade with base run that he's not winning either, needs to queue away and does so, but the pressure of this double AD carry bot lane is making the Heimerdinger's life absolute hell.
Ah, man, Beitran...
Shun hasn't left.
He hasn't left, and that means that Beitran could potentially look for a flash in a bot. So, oh, God, good damage from
Actually, the turnback's not bad from 1xn either. Oh my days, this gets spicy indeed. Baseone's here. It'll be a 2v3. The health bars are blinking low from everybody. Shun does have a flash in the queue to maybe turn this one around. Still kind of suspects the Vi might still be lurking in the wings.
With the W landing from Vi, not from the Vi, from the Ezreal rather, from the W landing, means that Beitran maybe thinks he could get burst out, and don't think he's wrong in saying so. With 2 flashes to contend with just one of his own, would be hard to outplay that one even at full HP. BLG, you don't want to just throw over even more gold. This was the worry. You see the Heimerdinger locked in, but you think, okay, but it's a blind pick Heimerdinger. We saw the answers to the Heimerdinger. It was great in stuff like Nautilus and Leona, awful into ranged supports. And On and Elk doing a great job in the laning phase of punishing that pick.
And of course, you know, it does make the Kallista's life difficult once you get Rylai's and stuff. You know, obviously things like the Akali and the Vi, very predictable in terms of where they end up dashing for things like the grenade, which can be difficult for them. And that's all well and good. But you have to survive the laning phase. And Heimerdinger, in a lot of ways, is about winning the laning phase, not surviving it. And that's not a great start there in the bot side for TT, who last game actually weathered the storm very well. This time it's been a bit harder. And they managed to get over to the top side to get the grubs at the very least. And Hoya, of course, still leading the way in that top side on that counter matchup. The Broken Blade was one of the proponents of alongside a few other top laners.
This is something which a lot of junglers have complained about is, oh my god, if I have losing top lane, what the hell do I do about grubs? Someone like Zac, because he gets the blobs off of each of the grubs being hit, he gets to heal himself up and basically take them for free himself. He won't take them quickly, but he'll take them very healthily, so he can come down from top lane and assist with that one. Bin has got himself a bit of a CS advantage, but of course he lost that first blood, so in terms of actual effective gold, he's behind on that one. See again, Chocho on 1xn, collecting waves at turret, keeping up in farm, that's fine, but they are down, of course, that kill. Kill went over to Callista, who's got themselves Vamp Scepter now, which means that even with the poke, it's going to be a little bit awkward for them, and On has himself a Fleet Footbook as well for sustain in his own rights. TT, this laning phase, we've talked about that enough, really. Question is, what are you going to do with it now? You do have double poke, you can land important damage around important moments of the game, but you need to really justify that now. Shun coming down to protect his bot lane. Knight at level 6, this Akali barely talked about it. He's coming down towards bot side, and I don't think he's spotted just yet.
Beishwan's coming, but I think it might be too late. We'll now spot out there's a ward, and they know what's going on. The wave not quite under tower, and On misses the Mystic Shot. That might have been a go signal. Oh, Beishwan, you've got to be so very, very afraid stepping forwards here.
He knows they're likely there. That's why he's walking away from that brush. He's not walking closer up towards it. Beishwan, level 5, has flash.
Flashes away from the queue, and that means it's a miss from Shun, but there could still be an all-in here from Knight. He's looking for the execute!
Oh!
Gets out with the shuriken flip away as well. Absolutely elegant from the mid laner of BLG.
Knight is a gymnast on the Akali. Goes in with the ult, secures himself a return point with the shuriken flip, goes right the way in and gets out with style. And now 1xn and Chocho alone under the turret. They're outranged, outgunned, and they're going down.
They're trying to play this one as best they can. 1xn might get one back, and it will at least be something. And Chocho stuck under the turret, now in the 1v1. On so desperately low as well, but it just doesn't matter. Knight still helps get both, and a 1 for 2 after the kill on base one beforehand. BLG styling them, but Yukal here, with a lot of low health bars to work with, could prove problematic. Shuffles them away, then goes in with the slide and glide to get some more, and will at least get something back at the end of it all.
So he gets himself just the 1 kill, but it's 3 to Knight. Knight picks up every single kill in the bot side confrontation, and what were we saying when we came into draft? That's a good Akali angle. There's a lot of bot lane champions and backline champions, rather, that can make a big... and that's the thing. Shun misses the Q flash. The flash actually comes after from Beichuan, so it's Shun missing the initial play. Even with that, Knight has enough damage to go across that. You know, the misexecution. Things go from bad to worse for TT. They stick around. They know they have to clear out the wave. They won't have enough time to recall. Knight continues on the bot side of the map, and as soon as Yukal shows in mid, things go bad. Shun, no flash now. Gets away from top side play in the picture-in-picture. We now see a collapse coming through.
Fight about to commence, the 3v3. Chocho in a difficult position as Knight's just about to run over them, you think. So much damage to be found, can't quite make it happen. The Crescent Guard is good. Knight now in a dangerous position as Hoya is in and starts bouncing around, and that is now a dead Akali. Varus over as well, and one of the problems they might face is this Zac could prove problematic to the divers.
Well, Knight just missed a point-blank shuriken flip onto Chocho, goes back in and dies for the attempt. He didn't have his ult at the start of that play. So TT get themselves something back, and that would have been a shutdown over to the side of Yukal, who gets himself now up at a 2-0 on this Azir. Yukal, a player we've talked up very big last year and had a quiet 2024. That gold in hand, especially with the extra plates and inventory as well, after picking them up, will definitely go a long way into mountain recovery for him.
Back to look at the replay. It was an invade on the red buff, and BLG were the ones to collapse first.
Really need to watch this, right? Misses the point-blank shuriken range kick, flip. Gets it into the Shroud, which is why he flips back onto it, but it means that he doesn't get the insta-kill onto Chocho. It means that he keeps throwing out extra skills, keeps throwing down everything, even with a missed Varus ult afterwards. TT walk away with the win play.
And TT still not out of this game despite some stylish moments from BLG. They're close enough in the goal and a couple kills onto Yukal, a player who was, as we said, very absent in the last game, is exactly what you want to see from Thunder Talk if they are to even consider contesting the rest of this game. Shun picks up a couple grubs, and that will deny a 5-grub game from TT. On the other side, though, 1xN and Chocho taking the opportunity to at least get the wave shoved in against Elk's Kalista.
It's going to help them at least finally get the push in with the double poke bot lane themselves. Of course, a lot of that from the Heimdallr is about how you're placing down your turrets. What you can do actually as well is while the cannon is tanking aggro, you can put down another turret as well, just under turret to be even more obnoxious. As you can also do that with a couple of other different like minion summoning champions. The turret doesn't attack, your own little turret doesn't attack the tower, but it does allow you to potentially look for more poke as well. But you can do that with stuff like Malzahar minions and other stuff like that, because the cannon takes so long to die, and normally those kind of ads die to a single tower shot. It just means you can play the odds a little better.
That's always good to see. And fun fact, Heimdallr is pretty much the only champion I've never learned the ability names for, because they are so obnoxious to remember.
Yeah, they have a lot of the names. In fact, you know what? Chakrez, of course, the person who makes the LEC pop quiz, if he ever wants to really, because I'll have you know, I am the one and only caster pop quiz champion. They only ever ran it once. I was there. I won by 7 points. It was not close.
Omedetou gozaimasu.
The one thing that would tilt me is if I had to remember all of the individual numbers on the Heimdallr things.
Actually, I'm gonna look them up now because I'm curious, because they are like it is actually ridiculous.
It's like HX-14 experimental something or other. There's a lot of stuff like that.
Okay.
I can't remember all of it. I'm sorry.
H28G evolution turret.
I was close. I knew the vague.
The Hextech micro rockets is very memorable. In fact, that's not super.
Is there any numbers on that?
No, there's not.
Okay,
but
that's good.
E is CH2 electron storm grenade.
CH2 electron storm grenade. But what is CH2?
Who knows?
Carbon hydrogen.
I just remember evolution turret, electron storm grenade, and the micro rockets is generally.
And the ultimate is upgrade, right?
Upgrade with 3 exclamation marks.
Yes, but then that doesn't that change the name of the abilities as well?
It does, but I'm not that. I refuse.
You learned it for Karma. You can do it for him.
But Karma's got significantly more stylish upgrade names. Soul Flare's a great ability.
Do you want to talk about this gank on bot side? Double flashes, ult coming through.
Elk's flashed and cleansed. That means he's got nowhere to go. I think it is hunting season, and Elk is a phenomenal shooter. It is Chocho that picks up the kill, but that actually means the Heimdallr is 2-2-2 somehow.
He's picked himself up a couple of kills, though, in the back end of a couple of these plays. So Alkanon getting punished once again, all out, but there's already the passive from Hoya. He might go down all the same. Regen is so big, though.
Starts bouncing around, and the unstable matter just picking up all those bloodlets keeps Hoya up and healthy. Yes, it's an ult for an ult, but Hoya's kind of okay with that, I think.
Yeah, and you can see Hoya just spamming his abilities on the wave to make sure there are more blobs to keep himself sustained, and been pretty close actually to taking him down. Would have been
The Cell Division passive, at least.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if he goes into Cell Division, he dies, right? Because you have enough damage on the Exante to make things work. Neither of these champions at one item just yet. You can see base damages from both of these just enough in their own rights.
It's interesting, actually, despite the initial play from Hoya, that it's still been coming out with the CS seed. I think that might be because of the skirmish and the timing that Hoya chose to move over that cost him a little bit of that CS as well. But it is good to see from BLG's side that Bin's managed to stabilize a lane that was looking a little bit dicey in the initial stages.
Elk misusing his rend, actually, just there. Missed that on 1 CS, and so it'll be on cooldown, but that's fine. -1, just about. But BLG, their bot lane, after an early game lead, haven't really been able to translate that into anything. Well, we were asking that for TT, saying, okay, lost the first few waves, what do you do now? They've actually done quite well at rotating Chocho around the map, and go for dinner. Yeah, they have been feasting on elk steak.
That sounds quite tasty.
I'm
assuming elk is edible.
I mean, people hunt it for game all the time,
think so, yeah.
Presume so. I'm not an expert on that. I don't think I've ever had it.
I've eaten some weird things, but never elk. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, jellyfish curry was up
That
there.
was very weird. That's true. That was quite tasty.
Oh, I never had a witchetty grub while we were in Australia. I would have. Yeah.
Even the witchetty grub, yeah.
The witchetty grub, yes. My Australian accent is not good.
No, that's true. The weirdest one I've had is caramelized wasp larva.
Oh, we've had crickets as well. Crickets,
yeah.
You can, because that's actually a Cambodian dish. You can often you can fry up crickets and like have them with like various like soy-based sauces and like salt. You know, like the salt kind of substitute sauces. I don't think it's exactly soy, but I can have stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I get fed on Kazakhs. It's the closest thing to a cricket we have.
Crickets are good. It's just like Kazakhs is like a food salesman as a skin. I didn't know I wanted.
Shun is alone up here, by the way.
He is, actually. That's a very scary place for him to be. Will not even secure the Herald. It's a Q flash away, and Knight's going to come on over to try and save the laner. But, oh, Jojo is there! The Electron Storm Grenade brings Shun down, and they lose both the Herald and their jungler, and 1xN lands some serious poke himself as Elk face checks the bush.
Chocho comes back down towards bot lane, and this pick, which we've only seen the one time at a Chocho this split, working well. The driver's license been secured by Beishwan.
Beautiful.
Now, you see, earlier in the week, Yukal showed us exactly how to miss every turret. He missed both mid lane, inner and outer turret. But suddenly, BLG, this imprecision in the early game is coming to really bite them. LPL as a region has had a lot of imprecision, a lot of the skirmishing instincts have been off. BLG, I think particularly their bot lane has been off the boil today. They've been caught out an awful lot in bad positions.
Double Callista game from Elkanon, the duo that in a lot of ways has been the premier bot lane this year. This is 2 games in a row where Elk's ended up 1-2-1, where the bot lane hasn't been as clean as they might have liked. And yes, it's not everything over. Yes, they can still do things like this. And maybe we have been talking a little bit too much smack, and BLG are here to put both TT and our comments in their place.
Or just about misses the shuriken flip onto 1xN. Knight could have walked away with another kill from that. Still 4-1. It's a teleport, it's a flash, and ult kind of traded across the way as well. BLG gets something on the bot side and get themselves into a position where maybe Elkanon can at least push up and get another play, but instead they're looking for a reset. Firing back a little.
Exactly that, and it's another one of those very aggressive teleport plays to a side lane to force kills, force dives from BLG, and it works out pretty well for them this time. Unfortunately, neither Elk nor On get to be involved with it, but it is still another kill to Knight Sakali, who is 4-1. So much of the kills in this early game, feeling very, very good for that mid laner on BLG, and a lot of onus on him to be the primary point of carry.
Patreon going towards the dragon, tracking on a few other things. It looks like it's very unlikely for it to be a fight here. Bin, despite losing first blood in a 1v1 and is railing on him for that, has got himself a significant gold advantage.
Yeah.
First, now up to the Koenig Rooken, and he's very happy about that. It hasn't stopped off for something like a Balmy Cinder or anything like that just yet. Bin is doing very well in this matchup currently. And, with that in mind, actually BLG, despite the fact that they've lost a couple of significant players around the map, has got himself to a point of power. And also another thing we have to talk about now, Yukal is not going Nash's Tooth. Yukal has gone Liandry's and going into Frozen Heart. So it is a bit more towards that Tank Azir build, which has shown up from a particular one-trick in Korean solo queue, and of course Showmaker played it in the LCK.
Yeah, shout out over there as well. Very successfully so, and it's something apparently that's been quite good for a number of years, but people just haven't really given it a go. But when you've got a lot of dive threats onto you, being that much more tanky, being that much harder to take out, and keeping your uptime high feels pretty good in the Azir.
And it just means that you're not an assassination target for someone like the Via Kali in nearly the same regard, in the same way. But now, with the Frozen Heart built up, potentially going towards something like the Abyssal Mask as the next item as well, it means that when you're diving in and using your Shuffle, which is your main value you bring to your team at that point, you have a lot extra bit of damage to work with it. So Hoya jumps onto Knight. Won't really be a kill threat in this matchup, because Shogun Flip is available, but it's a nice poke. So that's Shun walking towards bot side. Hoya, happy to walk up here, though.
Shun once again turning it wherever Knight is to try and make things happen. Lands the Q this time. The Shogun Flip lands as well. But it is just chunk damage and not anything more than that. You can see the total gold. Despite the 4 kills from Knight, it's still Yukal leading healthily in this game.
Bin is bought into this fight. He's 1v3. Done well in the individual matchup. You don't exactly want to be taking on that many members right now, but you want to send out of position.
Flash trying to keep away and safe, but just can't find anywhere to go. But now they're stuck on the turret. Knight did get hit by the Chains of Corruption before he left, and that means he dies. It's a 1-for-1 as it stands, and BLG in a difficult position. Actually well buffered by Bin to avoid the Emperor's Divide Shuffle, and they now have to run away as on. Does Arcane shift away from a wind becomes lightning? Turret comes on through, but Hoya stretching strikes, forcing on to continue to back away with the heal. And TT do punish relatively well. They lose both the bot laners, though, so it's certainly not the cleanest of defenses.
Oh, but the thing is, TT lose a lot of their continued DPS as well. Because this Azir is not going to be the DPS threat with a Nash's Tooth, and then later into stuff like the, the Lich Bane and the Liandry's, depending on what you want to build. You can't really force that much after this point, but still, compared to game 1, TT are much more happy picking up the pieces. They're much more happy being in position to defend a lot of these big plays. Onyxen has himself the flash and catches Knight with the Varus Assault as he goes in. Means that he goes down all the same. The Varus can't do continued damage, but has enough CC to allow the tower to do the work. After that point, BLG don't really have any threat left, and Bin's W is nice, gets him out alive at least.
I thought Chocho had survived, and I hadn't realised that the turret shot came through just too late to keep him safe from the perfect execution, so Knight continues to be the real terror on BLG's roster.
6-2.
It also means that if he dies, though, a lot of that damage, a lot of that gold does disappear, and there are a number of tools to punish Knight if he's a little over-eager in making these plays.
Now with Baron off of vision, BLG needs to be a little bit aware, I suppose. You do have still got the Liandry's on the Azir, so you do have good...
Heimerdinger, I suppose, yeah, he's also not bad at taking it.
Well, no, Heimerdinger doesn't have the Liandry's. Again, that's what really makes him very good at that. So he's gone for the Rylai's right now. And yes, he has some damage on it, but that's the item which really breaks these two, is that when you go towards the big, high HP monsters, it increases your damage very, very much so. And then also, worth noting that Liandry's now stacks from multiple sources.
It does.
So if you have multiple of that on the same team, Baron will be taking double damage from it. So BLG don't necessarily want to be letting that vision off on top side going too easily. And one of the other big points, just bringing it back, is that, of course, Knight talks about how important it is if he goes down, 6-2. Elk is going to really struggle to do good damage on this Kalista this game. The Varus gives a lot of areas where it's difficult. You've got the Rylai's on the Heimerdinger. If you get tagged by anything that he does now, it's going to be very difficult for you to continue team fighting. And the stuff like the Shinzao, the Azir, and the Zac, because of the build which Azir has gone, they're not really primary targets either, and they can make a bit of a mess of things, especially with the Frozen Heart and Azir slowing your attack speed.
And if you get too close and Hoya gets to bounce around, one of the big problems for a Kalista is finding free space in a fight to hop and be free to hop. And if you've got a Zac coming in and making you bounce instead, it's not a great time. Different dance move, guys. There's
the Zazax, man.
Ow.
The Zazax adding the extra little proc on alongside the Comet as well. Nasty stuff. Even with the fleet footwork. Elkanon, they won the early laning phase, but that was kind of the end of the good news. It's a good step out of the wind becomes lightning. Feels like this Ezreal now has it's gone past a lot of his usefulness. Has the Horizon Focus, has the Blood Song as well. Not bad in terms of some of the item breakpoints, and can potentially get to a Muramana a little later. But On is not going to be the same kind of threat that Chocho is now.
Difficulty TT are once again finding, though, is they are really struggling to command these side lanes, and Bin and Knight have been so expert in their wave control, in getting these waves where they need to be when they need to be there. It has proven a little bit difficult for Thunder Talk to manage that element of the game. On still low, but it is looking like BLG are going to be the ones to start up this dragon. It would be so point for TT, but they're not necessarily going to contest straight away.
Yukal's put up a mid lane turret as kind of brute force priority. Knight will be going over vision, teleport in from Bin. On is so desperately low, though. He's not... Oh, God, he just about gets out.
And Basewan can't quite get the steal in turn on the other side. Bin goes all out, drags Basewan away, but that's straight onto On, who's immediately fades cold and kept alive. They do get a kill onto the jungler.
Ooh.
Into the backside goes Shun with the flash Q. Knight still looking for an angle as 1xN hit with the shuriken flip means he is immediately eviscerated, and BLG find absolutely everything they could ask for. Yukal at the back end of it does claim too, as Hoya hasn't died on the other side, still has his cell division to work with, but will still likely fall. A Knight on screen, ice cold murder in his veins.
Shun with a double flash Q sets up for success. Yukal very importantly though, takes down Elk, so the Baron is not going to be a threat. Yukal, because he's so tanky, I think he survives through here as well. 3 items, 2 of them being tanked, means that Yukal is not really an assassination threat, as we were saying. Very close though for BLG walking away with the game here and now. On. Of course, the reason why he can play a bit more aggressive is that he still has the Glycerol. Very low HP, but has that extra degree of safety. See the Bejuan jumps forward, very nearly one-shots, but not quite quickly enough. You see that Shun, this is the key moment though, gets right on top of Churchill and Yukal. They can't reposition in the way that they want to, separates them away from 1xN, so he can't find any safety either. Knight gets into the backline, and though Yukal cleans up a couple of kills to stop the Baron going over, the fight is well and truly lost after that flash Q.
Indeed it is. And Knight, again, 8 and 2 is such a threat. I was about to call before the fight, well, Basewan's gone towards the Eclipse second on the Xin Sao. So nothing like a Titanic, nothing like a Starex or a tanky option. Really wants that ability to blow up one of those AD carries. And nearly made it happen, but it's still making that bit squishier. And the problem is there are so many people. This Via Kali combo proving very difficult to survive from TT cleanly.
Baron, of course, going to be the object of both these teams' desire. Leandri's not going to be built up by the Heimdagger, instead going towards the Oblivion Orb instead, which makes a degree of sense, particularly with someone like Sante getting a lot of Omnivamp in his kit. But even then, I wonder if the Leandris would have been a better option, just to, in a lot of ways, just to increase the Baron clear speed. Means you have a second stack of that, really working wonders. BLG clearing out some wards here and now. Been just supporting the rest of his team. Chocho taking a little bit of damage, but On taking way more.
Oh, needs to get away from that and does manage to arcane shift his way to safety. Still has that flash. Now into the backside. Everyone's here. Bin's just turned up. Finds a fantastic flank. Beishwan is trying his best to stay alive, and the Crescent Guard to little avail. Dies, and Chocho dead already as well. The jungler's dead, and your support. It's a 3v5, and Knight's about to turn up to the party, but Baron's there, and with no smite, this should just be a start from BLG.
And Bechuan doesn't have himself the tankiest of items. I don't think it would have saved him either way. Now, Knight has flash, has ult. There's no Varus ult to stop him this time. The contest from TT, it feels like it is obligated, but it feels like it is doomed.
Hoya trying his very best to continue sticking around, but I think they've just decided the better part of Valor is discretion, and they'll back away from this one, knowing there's no real way to fight this. Has been refuses to leave, is in a 1v3, but taking next to no damage, and is still contesting this blue buff.
Gigabin gives no fucks. He walks up and he tanks the blue buff. Even with the Q being put in, Hoya walking forwards. But again, I don't feel like this is the play that you want. Knight is so incredibly strong, has Void Staffs now, so even this is Zac is under threat.
Yeah. There's no one who's safe from Knight at this point, and let's have a look.
Even
at this again.
Even you viewing there on the screen is not safe. So the thing is, right now he has faith in his team to win the fight. That he looks for a recall to get an item first before teleporting in. Big turret drop down from Churchill isn't enough to dissuade Elk and the rest of his team from walking forwards and getting good value. Feels really like BLG walked away with a really good opportunistic pick after TT just flubbed the vision game.
And again, it's the wave control. Bin gets to walk from tier 2 with the wave all the way shoved up into a great flank angle. And now Hoya, without the cell division, and Knight finding him in very easy locations, gets 2/3 of his HP bar. Kind of lucky there wasn't a flash R going on there from Knight. I wonder how aggressive he was going to go there for a second.
Especially with the Shadow Flame too, when you crit for an extra 20% damage on your magic and true damage, be on targets below 35% HP, which means that your ult is really going to start slapping people around at this point, and even affects your Lich Bane proc. It's nasty stuff. Hoya needs to be very careful, and you can see that now with the Baron being put in, with the double AD carries, and On even being able to be a threat onto turrets with his W tagging it too. TT need to be very careful about how much HP they're losing on their towers.
How much more can they do? TT kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. The hard place being namely an Akali with far too many items. While they are desperately trying to hold on to what remains of the map. On was taken very low but not down, and that's happened quite a few times. It's Ezreal squishy, yes, but killed? Not that much, actually.
Yeah, that's been one of the big differences, is that they've thrown a lot into On, but what has it really gotten them? You know, you still have the Callisto, so On's had some good moments. Knight now alone in a side lane. Does he have his W? No, he doesn't, and that's why he has the flash.
Does have to do that. Elk hops over the wall to try and make sure there's ways to keep that mid laner safe. Perfectly executes back away from the waves. That's the ult and the flash down. Knight now a lot less scary for a moment or two at least.
Here's the rank 3 on the ultimate, though. It's pretty low cooldown. It's almost a quarter of the way back already. You see that cell division from Hoya, importantly, up and available too. He's tanking the cannon, making sure that BLG can't just shuffle that in for free. Bin, demolish on tower. So much work at this point. Reminds me of when Sion starts whacking down those towers with 1,000,000 HP. And even though he stopped the cannons on bot side, Hoya going in now, trying to find an engage.
Does get the stretching strikes. Elk now caught out and put down. That's a big shutdown going the way of Beishwan. What about the rest of the fight, though? Bin's not coming over. He's still shoving in mid lane. They save the tier 2 here. And 1xN needs to be a bit afraid, actually. I wonder whether a ghost might come on through. Doesn't seem like that's on the cards right now. And all the while, Shun still in danger, gets shuffled back into the Krug pit. Yukal gets that one, and BLG a little bit greedy in terms of sticking around. And now On and Bin caught out in the mid lane as TT continue the collapse.
On is caught out. They don't have DPS. It's only the support Ezreal. And BLG, not for the first time, caught between some very difficult positions.
Stretching strikes go wide. That means On gets to Arcane Shift for free. They're going to continue trying to run. There is a teleport on Knight. He can start coming on through, all out summon from Bin onto Beishwan, who heals up with the Eclipse. On, about to die, surely. Finally, the Ezreal gets picked and taken out. Knight teleports back towards this bot lane. Actually, he's not even left. He's just stayed there and continued shoving on the tier 2.
And you stay there, but the thing is, BLG, they've been trying to push in multiple waves at once, but TT have the long-range engage this time. They have Azir on this tanky build. 6-0 and 1 now is Yukal. He is such a damage threat, despite the fact that he hasn't gone towards the Nash's Tooth or something like the Lich Bane. He's tanky, he does damage, and feels like BLG, they're splitting different lanes, but they're not respecting the engage range of TT. Shun caught out of position after stepping out of this brush there too. Feels really, really quite disrespectful after the Baron push should have really ended this game.
And he gets caught out, and then it leaves On and Bin in a difficult position afterwards as well. Knight, still scary. Game, still BLG's really to lose, but there's been a few fumbles here. It's not been clean in the closing. Something you called out in the last game. You said, look, I think they can close that little bit faster, that little bit cleaner. It's a similar story again here today.
Okay,
Hoya teleporting out.
Well, Knight can't exactly stop teleports anymore, so yeah, you used to have a mini stun on the first part of your R. So you can actually, it's really annoying. You could stop channels, you could stop teleports, but not to be the case anymore. It's been a long time since Season 8 and that one came out. And BLG, they get away with that teleport, which is nice for them. Poke from 1xN and Shocho, so obnoxious now, though. It's one of the reasons why On has been solo HP pretty much every time he's been on screen. We don't have Soul yet for BLG. If they get Ocean Soul, that poke means a lot less. Don't have Baron on the table just yet either. TT, they do have Vision on top side now, though, and even with the significant gold advantage for BLG, I feel like TT have the tools to fight back now. With this much damage on the Azir and this much engage range to catch out BLG, as long as they can find a fight without being assassinated by Knight, I think they can actually win fights.
Shun and Beishwan both on opposite edges of a flank. I think they're about to face check each other. There's Beishwan finding Shun all the way in the mid lane. The fight happens. Elk's dead. He got caught. They managed to get that one. Bin now in a dangerous position, but he's just taking no damage. He gets a Q onto 3 people. 1xN continues to try and run away to little avail. Finally falls down. Chocho still alive when Knight tries to get on top of him, can't quite make it happen, goes golden. They're going to try and place one out in the Shroud of best they can, can't quite happen, as Knight dead as well. They get that, the fight is an absolute mess. Oh, Yukal flashes away, and somehow, some way, TT just can't make it happen. They will finally get an auto attack. Yukal is such a problem, but the solo laners of BLG are the ones that stand tall in the end, alongside Shun, who is not Knight, and I misread his character.
Oh my gosh. Yukal, poor one out for this mid laner. His first death of the game. It just about saves the game. It's still a bad fight for them. They lose 5 for 3, but Yukal on this Azir is trying his fucking best, folks, to try and keep things alive. TT, they're going to lose that Baron. That's going to tie BLG into resets, into the Dragon itself. And it feels like TT, they may have just used their one last shot in the chamber. And it's gone wide, just about.
Not the fastest Baron as it stands, and respawns are beginning to come on through. 6,000 HP, Bin pulling away, and actually BLG cannot finish the Baron.
They can't, and that's one of the big things about losing this Callista. If you lose the Callista, there is no Baron damage. Going back into the where are we starting this? We're starting right the way from when Elk was caught. The engage range is really long range, but it doesn't even need to be. Elk steps up way too far into UCal, who shuffles forward. There's no chance of him getting out of that one. Very disrespect from Elk. He's had a poor game on this Callista. Got out all the way through the game. Teleports back onto the map in picture-in-picture. We've seen this before. Now it's Knight caught out on the flank. And he's dead.
Still no Zhonya's available. He's down for the count. That's huge. 9 kill Akali. Not in the game. Bin, though, in a 1 versus 5, solos out 1xN. He now continues to try and run away. Dragon, though, is taken by Shun on the other side. That is Ocean Soul onto Bin, who is still continuing to take no damage. He's in a 1v1 with Hoya. Callista gets a hold of Beishuan's Shinzao, and Hoya running away, and BLG still win the fight. It just doesn't matter. A catch on Knight leads to the end of the game in favor of BLG, because Bin's Cassante is unkillable.
And it's been a while since we've talked about this top player as one of the best in the world. He's had a rough 2024, but that fight was absolutely superb. He is tanky, he is late game, he is damage, and that might just open up BLG to end this game finally. Ocean Soul taken down, but there isn't that much damage to towers left alive. They might have to just settle with an inhib and out and then go back towards the Baron.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit delayed on that end of the game. I thought maybe with the fact they got those kills so freely, it might be a little bit faster. Instead, they don't decide to go and grab the Baron, they grab the inhibitor, and TT can still try again another time. The problem is, Bin just gets to walk through the team to 1xN, and 1xN has to just cry. There's not a lot you can do as the Varus at this point.
Yeah, so Knight caught out on the side, pink ward was put into the bush. He doesn't see where Hoya is on the other side, and even with Flash, even with ult, caught before he can do an absolute single thing. But what this means is that you've used the Azir ult, you've used the Varus ult, nothing to stop Bin from tearing you apart. Uses the terrain to drag himself away from some of that damage, and as soon as that Ocean Soul is down, he realizes, hang on, I can do something about this now. Procs that one, gets about, you know, something like 25 to 70 HP with each proc, each tick of that one as well, because he's got so much HP.
So silly.
And TT, after this point, they've left Bin to try and contest that dragon, and they don't have enough to take that one down.
Oh boy, well, the game now, BLG's to lose. It's been that way for a little while, but TT have not gone down without a fight. Some very classy moves from particularly UCal in this game. A much brighter game from a player we've began to get a little worried about. I'm not gonna lie, we expected so much from him at some points, and he is back to looking pretty good, but it might just be too little and too late. Unfortunately, BLG still reigning supreme here in the LPL, bringing in some more minion waves. And Thundertalk, you've got one last roll of the dice. It's just a very narrow roll you'll be requiring.
BLG teleporting in, Knight coming in. They only have their bot lane as the ranged champions to actually hit towers. They need to find a way to stop TT from wave clearing if at all possible. The Baron creeps are here helping, but the wave clear for now is keeping TT in the game. Bin walking forwards, imperious as ever.
Bin.
Oh, God, 1xN is gone.
He's just blows him up. I was about to say something, and it just doesn't matter. Knight says, who needs wave clear when I could just blow you up? Jumps on in and perfectly executes the bot lane. UCal gets Shun, but it is a very small consolation prize. But actually, I say that, UCal still standing strong, gets a couple back, but Bin has had enough. He won't let UCal sit there and free fire anymore. He's gone all out. He'll get some Untofo strikes empowered by the third stack of it all. And they'll end up getting the Nexus too. It's a 2-0 for BLG. But Thundertalk did at least throw a few punches.
Oh, man. BLG, they walk away with a 2-0. Was it a confident 2-0? No, it actually wasn't. You're going to go look back at this game and say, well, they struggled to close. They lost fights here and there. And I think particularly the bot line of Elk and On, who I thought were the best in the LPL in this year, I feel like they've been caught out a number of times, particularly in that second game, which makes me a little bit worried for them. Not the cleanest game from them. They still walk away with a 2-0, though, and they keep themselves at pace at the top of the table.
I have a counterpoint. Cassante.
That's not a bot lane champion.
Cassante.
Thing is, that's not a bot lane champion. Bin has played a lot of the Cassante this year, of course, and he's been blind picking it an awful lot. He's had a lot of games where he's struggled to get himself involved in the game. Important moment for him to really turn up and be the teamfight difference.
4,700 HP. 329 armor. 201 MR. Unstoppable. A shield. Goes over walls. Has airborne. Cooldown is only 1 singular second too. Costs 15 mana, guys.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Perfect. That will be our first series.